Tony Denaro here with Pantheon. Casey Shaw is joining us momentarily, but we're going to go ahead and get this started. Say some hellos, see how you guys are doing. Happy Sunday to you, Pantheon. Happy. Hang on, let me mute my other tab. There we go. Pantheon, how are you doing tonight? How is everybody in the audience too?
Hi, Tony. I'm doing really well. I'm glad that we took the time to really go through this information to be able to share with everybody the real facts. So it's great to be here with you, Tony.
Casey's in the house now. Casey, you got the technical issues straightened out. Welcome.
Thank you. Sorry for some reason my computer hates my passwords.
I had a moment of panic, guys, when I sat down finally here in front of the PC 15 minutes ago and I went to enter the studio on Restream. It said, "You are not connected to the internet." And I'm like, oh, shit. And I looked over at my router and it had all red lights blinking. I was like, of course, Kenny G shorting me again. So I had a few moments of panic. If you're wondering why we're starting late, I had to reboot the router, reboot the PC, and here we are. We're going to try and answer all your guys' questions about the APE unit tonight. We have been, as you know, working on this for 3 days. KC, Pantheon, myself, and a bunch of other people. This has been very much a team effort. So I want to thank everybody who's been working on this with us, reading through all of the documents. And man, there's a bunch, right, guys?
Oh, there's
a ton of documents, but it doesn't even come close to the amount of FUD that's out there, which we're going to squash tonight.
So we're going to go through at a high level what this is. If you've already got a good grasp on that, bear with us. We'll get through that piece of it and answer a lot of the FUD questions as we're doing that. And then whatever we didn't cover, then it's going to be open for Q&A. So if you want to hold off the questions while we're going through the material, and we didn't really plan this out, who's going to talk about which slide. So maybe we'll just take turns unless KC and Pantheon, you don't want to talk, but I know you guys like to talk. So what else? Oh, I just want to state again, just to kind of tee this up. I appreciate KC and Pantheon doing this with me. We all are owners of AMC stock. We're all bullish on the stock. I think we all believe in the future of this company. I know we definitely don't all believe, we don't all agree on many things, right? Pantheon always keeping me in line. KC doesn't agree with me on everything. But at the end of the day, we all have the same goal. And at the end of the day, whether we agree on any specific issues or not, I appreciate these two gentlemen being enough of adults to keep the eye on the prize and have debates about issues without ever letting it get personal. So thank you, guys.
Thank you too.
But I think we pretty much agree on this. So let's get into it. The AMC APE or Preferred Equity Unit. Let me make sure my slides. Okay. So as you guys probably know by now, August 22nd is when this is going live. There will be one APE unit. We're going to get into all the details. Don't worry. One APE unit for every common share of stock that is issued and authorized out there of AMC. And those will go live on August 22nd. Okay, Pantheon, do you want to talk about this first slide about the authorized shares? Because you're the first one that really brought this up. So this is kind of your baby.
Sure. I think the first thing I want to do, and I think for many of the people listening, they're going to hear this very first part and say, yeah, I get it. But I got to tell you guys, a ton of people on Twitter just didn't understand this. So I'm going to get to a little step before this slide. There's basically 3 different types of stock. There's Class A common stock, which is what all of us own. That is the 524,173,073 shares that were authorized by the company in the initial public offering back in 2013. That's the amount of stock that they can go up to. We're currently at about 516.8 million. The difference between them is around 7.5 to 8 million shares. That's what's held in the equity incentive plan. So there's Class A common stock, then there's Class B common stock. That was retired last February, February 2021. The Class B common stock was not tradable on the stock exchange, and it had 2 votes for every share. That's what Wanda Group owned. And when Wanda went to sell out, as they were directed by China, they converted their Class B stock to Class A stock. So there's no more Class B stock. The third thing is preferred stock. And as Tony has on this good slide, there were 50 million shares of preferred stock that were originally set up in the IPO, or the initial public offering, when the company went from private to public in 2013. Those are authorized shares, but they're not issued. And that's the key thing that people need to understand. There's authorized, which means the company could issue them when they want to, but they're not on the market. It's authorized, but not issued. And the other part of this slide is the definition of par value. So par value, people are talking about, you're going to get, turn down your mic. Okay. This is the setting I always use.
It sounds like you have some feedback in the background, like you have something playing in the back. There's an echo.
I'm turning down my speakers just in case that was it too.
We'll give this a shot. Okay, is this sounding better for everybody?
No, I mean, your voice is muffled now. I mean, it's quieter.
I turned down my mic. How about now?
It sounds a little bit better. There's still a little bit of feedback, but it's not as bad, I don't think.
Try now, Pantheon.
Okay, how does it sound, gentlemen?
Perfect. That's
Okay,
the radio
perfect.
voice we're used to hearing.
Should I jump back and redo that part really quick?
I mean, I heard it. I don't.
Just
Well, I
the
guess
par
maybe we
the
could
par
leave that.
value part.
Okay. So the other thing people hearing online as part of the FUD is that you're going to get 1 penny for it. That is untrue. The 1 penny comes from the part of the IPO where they have the 1 cent referring to par value. Par value is the value of a single common share as set by the corporate's charter. It is not typically related to the actual value of the share. When they first went to a publicly traded company, they set up 50 million preferred stocks that they could issue in the future, but they don't know what the value is going to be when they first did the IPO. So they put in the 1 penny placeholder, and they determine that when the time comes to actually issue it. So I just want to clear up to everybody, everybody owns Class A common stock. Nobody as of today owns any preferred stock. The preferred stock, we will get into that, is going to be what comes out as part of this APE unit. I'm not going to jump ahead on the slides, but there are people saying out there right now that if you have common stock, you're going to get the penny, and if you have preferred stock, you're going to get the APE unit. That is completely untrue. Everybody has Class A common stock as of today.
And for anyone who is, we have reference information in here in this slide deck, just in case anyone is wondering. All of this information is straight out of the AMC annual report, if you want to go look it up, but I'm sure you all trust Pantheon. So moving on to the conversion of the preferred stock. Casey, do you want to talk about this, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I can do it. So AMC is filed on August 4th in 2020 for Secretary of State to convert 10,000 or 10 million rather shares of their preferred stock and participating preferred stock, par value 0.01. And basically what I want to say about that is that a lot of people were and we'll touch on this in other slides going forward. A lot of people were going like, well, where is the 516 plus million shares coming from? And this is all tied into this 10 million shares of preferred stock. And so this is going to be key and pivotal where all the shares are coming from.
The other thing that I want to talk about, and I think we go into it more in depth on one of the next slides, is I keep on seeing people say over and over, even the Wall Street Journal and all of the articles online that you can look up, the AMC is going to issue 5 billion APE units. They have only filed, guys, and the paperwork is filed, and it's in other documents also, 10 million shares of preferred stock to be converted, not all 50 million. So right out of the gate, let's just knock that FUD about the 5 billion out of the park. Could they potentially file to convert more preferred stock? Yes, but right now there is no 5 billion shares. All right. I'll do this slide since the other two gentlemen went. I know a lot of you are wondering, what exactly is this thing and how is it going to trade on the New York Stock Exchange? Do we need to worry about whether we have common stock or preferred stock? And we started diving into that in the previous slides, but let's just start at the top. Each APE, or AMC Preferred Equity Unit, represents, as you guys have seen in all the paperwork, 1/100th of a share of preferred stock. That is because each share of preferred stock is equal to 100 shares of common stock. So, as we also said, the company will deposit 10 million of their preferred stock with a depositary, which happens to be Computershare, and maybe someone will want to talk about that. But Computershare is essentially the trustee that is going to hang on to these 10 million shares, and then they are going to create depositary receipts. And you guys remember the whole Brazilian depository receipts. If you've traded in Chinese stocks, you know what ADRs are when you buy NEO or BABA. Depository receipts are a very normal market function. A trustee holds the shares, and then receipts are created to represent the value of those shares that are held in trust. And then the receipts are traded on the stock market, just like NEO or BABA. These will be listed for AMC under the ticker symbol APE. And they have all the rights and preferences of the preferred stock that is held in trust. And each APE unit will represent the equivalent of one vote. All of these bullet items come straight out of the Form 8A, which was filed with the SEC on August 4th. Pantheon, I'll let you take this one if you want.
Sure. So we've got, for the conversion quantity, each preferred share is going to be equal to 100 shares of common stock, as Tony mentioned. So what they're doing is they're going from preferred stock to go to preferred APE units. And it's a multiplying factor of 100, or you can just divide the 0.01 by 50 million to get the same thing, but for the total amount. But for this case, it's 10 million preferred stock shares that have not been issued. They've been approved, but not issued. So those 10 million preferred stocks will be converted into 1 billion APE preferred units. Preferred is the key phrase here. This is how this whole thing gets around. It's not truly a dividend. The word dividend's being used, and it's okay, but it's not a technically actual dividend. It's an issuance of preferred units or preferred stock, which the company can do based on the charter, as any company can do. So based on AMC's current share count of 516,820,595 outstanding shares, AMC will be issuing 516,820,595 AMC Preferred Equity APE units to those shareholders. Now, what that leaves is 483,179,405 preferred equity APE units still in AMC's hands. Remember, 1 billion minus the 516.8 million leaves you with 483 and change APEs that AMC will still have. Now, you guys have to understand, those are still not issued. It's the same thing as there's 50 million preferred shares. They're using 10 million of them. That leaves them with 40 million preferred shares. Those aren't right now issued. Okay, these 483 million APEs will be not issued. So I see a question coming up a lot saying, who's going to have the vote for the 483 million that are left? Nobody has the vote for that until they actually get issued to trade for debt, to be sold at the market, to be offered to existing shareholders, whatever the case may be when that happens. But that is not on the table at this time.
Very good.
So stock price. After stock goes ex-dividend, the share price typically drops by the amount of the dividend paid to reflect the fact that new shareholders are not entitled to that payment. I think it discusses this in the future slides about how, this is something I kind of want to talk about a little bit here, just for just a second. I think a lot of people have been confused about what the price of these units are going to be worth. And it's going to have to come out of some portion of whatever AMC Common A stock is. So this is going to be in a future slide here that we're going to see coming up, but it is going to come out of the AMC share common stock price.
You can go ahead and maybe
dividend,
do all the dividend.
Yeah. The NYSE has established that on August 22nd, 2020 date, if the investors buy common stock before the ex-dividend date as of August 2022, August 22nd, 2022, such investors will be entitled to receive the AMC preferred on the share purchased. So some people, and I've actually heard people, what if I just sell my share? I get it registered on the 15th, and then I sell, and then I try to buy back in after the price, splits or does whatever it's going to do in price, and then I get the shares, right? And I've basically, it's not going to work like that. If you sell your shares, before you actually receive the new unit APE units, then you've basically sold off those units to the person who's buying your shares. So you're not going to get, to be able to rebuy back in at a lower price when the stock splits and get your APE units back. It's not going to. Investor sells common stock before the ex-dividend date of August 22nd. That investor will not be entitled to those AMC Preferred Equity Units. Period.
And I wanted this slide in here because even today on an excellent Twitter space call, I heard people saying, guys, don't buy AMC after August 10th because you're not going to get this dividend. These bullet points right here are taken directly out of the press release and the forms filed with the 8K. If you buy before August 22nd, you are entitled to receive the APE equity unit. So I know there's a lot of confusion about dates. The same thing happened in GameStop, and people were confused about dates. I know the date of record is earlier than the 22nd, but there's such thing as what's it called, Pantheon, a due bill. They have a way to track between the date of record and the ex-dividend date, and as long as you're buying it before the ex-dividend date, you will get, or you are entitled to, the APE unit. So you should be safe as long as you're buying before end of business on Friday the 19th.
Yep.
All right, next. Go ahead and bring us home there.
Price of the APE. A reminder that the par value, the 0.01, is set by the company's charter. It is not the price of an equity. Adam Aron put out a couple of tweets this weekend. The man is a beast. He's working on his weekends. He doesn't have to, but he did. He's out there. One of his tweets, he said, "More FUD work. Ultimately, market trading determines the ongoing prices of AMC shared and APE units. They are very similar in nature, so logic says that initially the AMC share should approximately trade for 50% and the APE unit 50% of where shares trade just before the dividend." So basically what you're going to see is, logically, based off of what Adam Aron is saying, is that, let's just say, for example, the closing price on Friday was $22.18. split that number in half, $11.09 would be the price of AMC going into Monday, the 22nd, and the other $11.09 would be going into APE units.
So nobody knows for sure, but I think, Adam has given us a clue right here. And I think logically, for me, this makes the most sense. We've had several discussions about what we thought it was going to be priced at. And I know a lot of you were talking, first people were saying a penny, then they were saying $4 because that's the minimum price on NYSE. You have right here from the CEO's mouth, logic says initially AMC should trade for half and the APE unit half. Why is that in my brain logical? Because you're taking the shares, the float of AMC, and doubling it. So, and as we know, potentially the APE units could be later on converted right back to an AMC share. So they should have equal value. And remember that slide we had a couple minutes ago about what happens when a dividend is issued? It is normal for the price to come down. I know this is going to set up a whole bunch of other questions for you guys about what about the shorts when the price comes down? Does that make it easier for them? We'll get into all of the questions at the end. So if you're asking questions, we're not reading those right now. Stay with us for a couple more slides and we'll get to all your questions. Is this dilution? That is, the reason I'm saying wait on the questions, I tried to put as many of the questions that I anticipated in the slide deck. Is this dilution? It is not dilution. Adam Aaron has stated that. That is a fact. The technical definition of dilution would be if a shareholder had received a reduced percentage of ownership. You can look at this as a stock split. A stock split is never dilution. The amount of shares is increasing. Your total ownership of the company does not change by this action. Now, in the future, remember those 483 million shares that AMC still has? Or, they filed to convert 1 billion APE units. And yes, there's another 40 million preferred shares that no paperwork has been filed on, but I see y'all in the comments saying, well, he has more preferred shares. Sure. But right now, there's only paperwork filed on 10 million of them. Right now, there will be no dilution. If ever in the future, additional APE units are sold into the market, that would be dilution. So hope Pantheon or KC, do you have anything you want to add on this before we move?
That would be diluting the APE
APE,
units.
yes.
And we're going to get to this, but we still have to be asked by the company to vote to convert APEs into common stock, and that vote is not on the table today.
Right.
So, and one other thing, what Casey was mentioning, he heard people talking about selling and trying to flip and whatnot. Adam Aaron has also tweeted, though, just for everyone's understanding, there's no tax owed on the APE when you get it. And when you sell it, the APE unit, not your common stock, his understanding is that for short-term, long-term capital gains purposes, the acquisition date of your APE unit is the same date as your corresponding AMC share. So if you're already in long-term capital gains benefits, your APE unit will also be in long-term capital gains units. So that's a thing to consider too. If you think you're going to sell and buy back, you'd be resetting potentially areas of short-term to long-term capital gains, just as a point to mention.
You want to take this one, Pantheon? There's been a lot of questions. What is going to happen on the options chain?
I think it's probably better if you cover this one, Tony. You're far more deep on the options than I am.
Okay, so we've had a lot of discussions about this, guys, and I know other groups are having discussions about options chain. I'm just going to skip down to the bottom bullet point, first of all, and let you know that whatever I say on options chain this is our best guess. We don't know exactly what is going to happen. There's been a lot of debate about if the APE unit would be optionable. And if it is, would it be optionable on day one? I don't right now have the answer to that. But just in general, when stocks are affected by a dividend, there always is some effect to call and put options. So depending how all of this plays out, and we'll know probably on the 22nd, maybe a few days before, the market makers are going to decide that and figure it out. This is not Adam Aaron's call. Let's just say if, for example, I'll give you one example, and I'm not going to go through all of the potential ones. If, for example, there were options available on the APE unit on day one, August 22nd, I could see a scenario where they would, if you owned calls on AMC, the strike price and the value of those would be cut in half, and then you would be issued a call of similar value on APE. That's one scenario. They could also do scenarios where they close out the options chain, mark them sell only, start a new one. There's just a bunch of different ways they can do this. And I don't know that we have completely figured all of that out yet.
So I found something in the prospectus, and I know this is kind of like last minute here, but I found something in the prospectus that on page 19 of their prospectus, which is the S3 that they filed. There's a section in there called "We or the selling stockholders may also enter into hedging transactions." For example, we and the selling stockholders, and it lists like a whole bunch of different things that can be done, such as selling securities short and redeliver such securities to close out short positions, loan or pledge the securities to a broker dealer or an affiliate thereof who may sell the loan securities. So basically they're making it really makes it sound like, and there's even one in here about in transactions otherwise than on an exchange or an over the counter market or in combination. So there's even room to lead me to believe that even off exchange trades may occur starting on the very first day. There is something that's called a lockout period. And I was looking for that because I know that it was discussed in a couple different places, and I actually was under the opinion that we would probably be under a lockout period, and we would not see any kind of trading uh, of derivatives of this stock and loaning of shares for at least 90 days. I can't actually find that anywhere in the prospectus, and the page 19 kind of references that it seems like it is going to happen like on day one. To which I responded to, I think, Adam Aaron's last tweet, and I asked him, I said, hey, would it be possible to add out a lockout period for 90 to 180 days? Obviously, I'm not going to get any response, but if everybody thinks that that's a good idea, and that's, I think, something the community would have to decide, you know, we could potentially petition that we add that into the prospectus if that's possible. The one downside to that is that if Adam and Aaron were to choose to sell some of that preferred stock for whatever reasons to reduce debt, he would not be able to do so within that lockout period of time. So I don't know what his time. I think he wants to be able to have an open time because of certain reasons that I think some of us are seeing going on in the market currently. So I don't know. I don't know if he would even enter something that the community in general would be in favor of.
All right. We'll have some more ongoing discussions, I think, in the next 2 weeks about lockout. I think that's a great topic to talk about, Casey. Pantheon, you want to talk about the conversion of APE units in the future? Everybody's worried about, don't vote. Do we got to vote to get APE units? Do we got to vote to convert them to AMC? When is all that going to happen? Do you want to talk about this slide?
Sure. So the origins of preferred stock in an initial public offering, in this case, a 2013 IPO for AMC, when they went from a private company to a public company. The preferred stock is typically put in as a mechanism for the board of directors to make moves without having to go to shareholder approval. And one of the things preferred stock is meant to help with is the event of a hostile takeover. So if you have somebody come in, and guys, this is not what's happening with AMC. I'm giving you an example because I get a lot of questions about what the heck is preferred stock. So preferred stock is something that if they were having, and think of the movie Wall Street, right? Michael Douglas's character, Gordon Gekko, comes in, buys a sizable stake of a company and tries to force a takeover. This would give the board of directors the ability to handle preferred stock in a way that would enable them to hopefully stop a hostile takeover and not have to wait for shareholder votes to come in and say, yes, we agree. Now, it can be used for many different things, but that's one of them. And I just want to impress that upon people. That's why preferreds are set up that they don't need to get shareholder approval. And typically, preferred stock doesn't have a vote, but the company can change that. So these preferred units, as we've discussed, they're only going to make 1 billion of them, as we know today. On the news, they've said to Adam Aaron, you'll 4.5 billion APE units left. That could be true in the future, as Tony has clearly said, but that is not what is currently on the docket today. That is not what they've submitted to the SEC. So the APE units that are in hand, they would have to put forward, pronouns. AMC's board of directors would have to put forward a vote to the Class A common stock shareholders, which is all of us, and we would have to vote in approval to convert the preferred APE units into Class A common stock. They can convert preferred units into preferred stock into APE units without our approval. They cannot convert any of the preferred APE units into Class A common stock without shareholder approval on a vote. That vote is not currently scheduled or even proposed by AMC's board of directors. So if they were to do something with the 483 million APE units that are still going to be in their hands but aren't issued, like for example, trade that off for debt with another entity that they owe debt to, they would still be APE units. Okay, they would not be Class A common stock. So that's not diluted Class A common stock until we're asked to vote. And if the vote is yes, then there would be conversion into Class A common stock. So the conversion can only take place if the company proposes and shareholders, including the APE holders, because they get a vote for those as well, vote to approve the authorization of additional common shares at a future AMC Entertainment stockholders meeting. Guys, the 40 million preferred shares don't have votes. And even if they wanted to convert them into APE units, 4 billion APE units, even if that did happen, as long as they're issued, there's no votes for them. So I've seen that all over Twitter as well. People are saying Adam Aaron's going to have 4 billion votes. He doesn't have 4 billion votes. The company doesn't own those yet. They have them, but they haven't issued them. Okay. There's a big, big difference between approved and issued. And currently there are no common stock shares available for conversion from APE to AMC. Thank you, Tony.
Multiple layers there, right? There's no 5 billion shares. Even there's going to be 1 billion. And even if they wanted to convert them, they can't right now because there's no common stock to convert to. And they will have to announce at some point in the future, which is not currently scheduled, but we're just being upfront with you guys. It could be a potential in the future. And we will talk about that at that time if he proposes a vote to convert. You know, hopefully things will get pretty spicy here and interesting in the next 2 weeks, and we won't even need to worry about that conversation. So take a freaking chill pill, keep your Zen on, and let's worry about one thing at a time. Let us finish getting through the slides and present you the entire case before you guys go off crazy. And mods, if there's people in here that clearly are not here to learn and are just talking trash, you have permission to boot them out of the stream. This is a teaching moment, and then we will go over questions when we're done. This is just a follow-up. This is from the actual document, the 8K, I think, but this is the wording from the form filed with the SEC that says that they will have to obtain our approval if they ever decide to have a vote to authorize more shares, the first step to convert APE to common stock. And there would need to be a majority. The The voting members would be obviously AMC shareholders and APE shareholders. Everybody gets an equal vote, 516 million or so each. Now, the important, I think, interesting thing in here that I stumbled on as I was reading through all these documents, because I had a lot of questions about this in the beginning. If there is ever a vote, and if we vote to approve it, every APE unit will immediately convert to 1 share of AMC. I was thinking it might be like warrants where you could choose when to convert them. Nope. It says it very clearly in the 8K. The day they decide to tell us they want us to vote, if we approve it, guys, your APE units will go away and you will go back. All those shares will go over to AMC. Just letting you know what could happen in the future if they ever bring up a vote. I'm not saying this is good or bad. We're just being upfront with you what the documents say. All right, now for the spicy stuff. Pantheon, you want to do this first one or KC?
I think it's Casey's turn.
All right. Impact on shorted loaned or rehypothecated shares. So even though the price of AMC will be reduced and cut perhaps in half with the APE units being created, the reduction of the net dollar amount that's owed for those shorted shares, the loaned or rehypothecated, will not change. Short sellers should be responsible for paying those units to the lenders. The short sellers will not be distributed the APE units until 8/22, requiring them to purchase closing out of position on AMC. Will lenders accept cash in lieu of APE? That's something we don't know if that's going to be the case or not. I think one of the things that I was kind of thinking about was, there's different types of loans, and how they would potentially be repaid may depend on the type of loan. So if it's a naked short, uh, it's in theory a theoretical loan of something that never actually transacted. So payment in lieu would probably be sufficient, and no actual shares would have to be exchanged. But actual short positions where a share was, my guess is that those shares will probably have to be found.
And at the end of the day, I think the important thing to note on here, and I know we're going to get a lot of questions on shorts because the price of AMC is going to change. The important thing to focus on first and foremost is the net dollar amount that a short owes is not going to change just because the price of AMC changes. All right. Let's move to the last slide. And these are some hypotheticals, right? The impact. We'll really know if these slides, if we're on point, the impact to short, loaned, and rehypothecated shares. We will know that next week and the following week. And I think we started seeing a hint of what is to come on Friday. So let's look at.
We got one more.
I think we actually have 2 slides left.
Yeah. So
you want to finish this one too, Casey?
Yeah. So continue on with that loan to rehypothecated shares. The original owner of a share retains the rights to the dividends. If a broker has loaned or rehypothecated a client's shares, the APE unit will somehow need to be paid to the original shareholder on 8/22. Depending on the extent of the loan shares and rehypothecation, there will be a quantity of APE units, potentially requiring brokers to purchase them from the NYSE or recall loan to avoid this issue. The recall of those loaned hypothecated shares could trigger a price run up on AMC. And I think that's the spicy stuff that we're about to talk about here. And let me tell you, I think everybody who saw what happened on Friday could see some of the spiciness starting.
Pantheon, do you want to give a recap for everybody? You know, we always talk about we own the float multiple times over. Do you want to explain to the folks rehypothecation real quick?
Sure. So when a share is in a margin account or it is loaned out, the possibility is there for the brokers to loan out the shares multiple times over and over and over. And that ends up with one share equaling many shares. And those rehypothecated shares, that is a legal thing that they can actually do, to keep it real simple. But it actually creates more shares than what should exist in the float. So when that takes place, the problem is going to be AMC is not going to create more than 516.8 million preferred APE units. If there are multiple synthetics out there or multiple rehypothecated shares out there, AMC has no intent to create more of these APE units to cover that. That's going to become a broker issue, that they've loaned or rehypothecated the client's shares. The APE unit will now need to be paid to those original shareholders as of the 8/22/2022. And so that's going to become a broker problem, to find these APE units and deal with them, or recall the shares that they have loaned out potentially multiple times over.
Ooh, that's spicy.
Yep.
That's really spicy.
I've been saying for the past couple of days, Adam Aron has the easiest part of this job. His job is going to be push the button and issue 516 million apes. All the fireworks, all the train wreck is going to happen on the broker's side. So they are thinking really hard right now how they want to deal with all of the loaned out shares that they have. Prime brokers, your regular brokers, they know they have a mess headed their way of you guys complaining to them. And Adam Aron has also tweeted that if you have a problem, you're going to need to contact your broker. This is the broker's fault if you don't get your share. So,
and Adam also said that, sorry, Tony, he also said that in the Q2 earnings call. He specifically said, if you don't receive your APE unit, call your broker. Each of you with a common Class A common stock, you are entitled to an APE unit. He specifically said those words, just like Tony's saying. He's saying the ball's in your court, guys.
and that alone right there makes me the most excited about the next 2 weeks. Seeing, I mean, if there really is a bunch of synthetics and there really is a bunch of rehypothecation, and they haven't figured out some other way to get out from under it. And I know everybody's going to say they'll figure out a way, but if I think that they will want to sort out all their mess before the 22nd. So there might be a lot of fighting over shares to buy them up and clean up all of this crap before the 22nd.
Meanwhile, and I'm not pointing any fingers in any specific directions, but people who may or may not be shorting or scalping off of AMC could potentially want to start holding their positions instead of scalping, due to the fact that they're going to want to end up having when this is all over. So a lot of the scalping that we've been seeing that may be reducing price on certain occasions might disappear during this period of time as well.
This is also the single most reason why I think you see CNBC and all the people, the trolls in the chat telling you, there's going to be 5 billion of these, da, 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 da. Clearly there's not. We've already shown you the documentation. If you didn't see it, if you checked in late, go back and review the earlier parts or go read the documents for yourselves. They want to scare you into selling because they want these damn things cheap and clean up their mess before the 22nd. So all of the trolls and all of the people who are talking shit and all of the mass media misinformation, I think, is 100% planned. Some of it is just idiots who don't like AMC. People in the chat, I get that. You're entitled to your opinion. But a lot of this is planned. All right. Pantheon, why don't you take this one, and I'm going to start looking for some questions because this is the last slide. I'm going to start tagging some questions to
Sure. Thank you, Tony. So there is no restriction on the company's ability to offer the remaining of the, remember, 1 billion APE units minus the 516.8 million that are going to go to the existing Class A common stock shareholders. The math leaves you with 483,179,405 APE units that AMC will still have not yet issued, that they could into the open market. Now, for example, or we'll go into that in a sec, but if AMC were to use, or if we use the price of AMC, this is one of Tony's examples that I just love. If you take the price of AMC just from Friday, $22.18, then you would know that half of that price would be AMC Class A common stock, and half of that price would be the value of the APE. Multiply that by the 483 million APEs remaining, and they would be sitting on, at that price from Friday, taking half of it, $5.3 billion of potential cash if they sold the remaining APE units to whoever, okay? And we'll talk about that in a sec. But if they did, that would give them $5.3 billion. AMC's is $5.2 billion plus future lease liabilities. So what that could mean in theory, if the price was $22.18 by half and you sold all of the 483 million units that are left, yes, that would be diluting the APE units, but at this point would not be diluting Class A common stock. It would add more votes, but it would not dilute the stock itself. Okay, that would then give AMC, in that example, $5.3 billion and wipe all of the debt off the books outside of the future lease obligations. So selling APE units would dilute existing APE shareholders, but the proceeds of any issuance of APE units into the market could be used to pay off the $5 billion of AMC's company debt, retire deferred lease amounts, fund theater upgrades, or acquisition from competitors without incurring additional units. Could be issued now to retire any of 2023 to 2029 debt now at a discount. Adam also mentioned in the Q2 earnings call that other people holding bonds with AMC debt who have also expressed interest in taking a cut off that, much like when he paid off the $72.5 million of debt for $50.1 million at a 31% discount. There are other bondholders who've expressed interest, according to Adam Aaron, that they'd be willing to look at a similar deal. I'd like to get cash today, and I'll give you a discount on what I would get in the future. Now we know $552 million of debt is coming due around June 15th, 2023. That's the next due piece. After that, it's not till 2026. So, you could, in theory, use some of that $5.3 billion worth as of half of Friday's share price. You could issue some of those APEs to completely wipe that out at a discount. What if Adam Aaron was to say, look, we'll give you a 30% discount on that debt. Give us a 30% discount. We'll give you the APE units now. GLAS is the person who owns the 2023 debt. They could sell those APE units at market, and then you're down $552 million of debt at a much lower price without touching any of your cash reserves. From a company perspective, that's pretty smart. Now, although that would be dilution of the APE units, company debt and deferred lease obligations would substantially change the fundamentals of AMC as an investment and eliminate any risk of bankruptcy. How would you guys like to have the company, in theory, completely debt-free from the major $5.2 billion of debt and have that remain in the APE units? Just think about that just for a second. That would be very interesting. We're not saying that's when it's going to happen, but this is where this could go. Okay. And Adam Aaron has also said on the Fox interview that he has, and we're only talking about the 483 million remaining APE units that he's asked to convert of the 10 million preferred shares. Remember, on the Fox interview, he said they asked him about the 4.5 billion APE units, which is all of the preferred stock converted. And he said, I wouldn't do that. That's madness. He publicly said that, right? So, I mean, we can take him for his word. Over to you guys.
Can I throw on something real quick here?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Tinfoil hats on here. Guys, I really remember the tinfoil hat on is on here. So it's this is just me thinking outside the box here. But in the next couple of weeks, I think that all of our brokers are going to be scrambling to try and find shares. I think what we're going to is a lot of potential price movement in an attempt to try and get as many paper hands as possible before the due date, to where they have to start getting some of those APE units. So tinfoil hat on, but my guess is that they're going to try and make us sell before then. So be ready for a wild roller coaster ride. It's up to you. It's all your choice. It's your money. It's your call. You get to do what you want. But I think that Adam Aaron into this package a deal where dip of rebuying back into the company without actually having to rebuy back into the company, have everything affected over on the APE side and not necessarily the AMC shares, and yet give him the shares that he needs in order to be able to become debt free in the company. And if you can't see the positives in that, then we just can't see eye to eye, and that's okay. But I think they're going to try and get us to sell our positions, and I think it's going to be through some pretty wild, crazy price movement.
And I'm seeing a few comments. Didn't they do dilution after the last run up? They did with the last shares they had left. And we see this over and over in many, many stocks, guys. You see a run up, and then out of the blue, the CEO announces a dilution to raise a bunch of money. I think it would be naive to expect them not to capitalize on that opportunity. I'm expecting it. You can think whatever you want. You don't have to agree with me. That's okay. If there is a run up, I imagine that he will capitalize at some point in using some of these APE units. There is no vote required on our part. This is already a done deal. He's going to have them. And he's going, as a steward of the company, he's going to be looking for a way to ensure the survival of the company. So I want you to have your business hat on if a squeeze starts happening, to not be caught flat-footed if there is a dilution at some point, if that squeeze is lasting a week or 2 weeks. This is a potential. Pantheon, you want to add anything? I don't know if you guys agree with me on that or not.
I do agree with you, Tony, and I do agree with Casey. It's always darkest before the dawn, and that's what we're going to see before we get to the light at the end of this tunnel. Here's a scenario for you guys. Adam Aron has been very clear in saying he values his retail shareholder base and wants to retain his retail shareholder base. He does not want to have the majority of shares owned by institutions. He said that on multiple occasions. Believe him, don't believe him, that's up to you guys to make your own individual decisions in the comment section. But that is what he has stated. Now, if we were to MOAS, squeeze, before we were asked to vote these APE units into becoming Class A common stock, it's the same thing as if somebody had asked you last week before the earnings call, you probably won't want to approve any additional Class A common stock today, right? Most people would say, no, I wouldn't approve that. But would you agree to give AMC more Class A common stock after we squeeze? And the answer to, I think everybody would say, is sure. Why not? After we've had the squeeze, I'd support giving them more stock to do what they need. This is what this could accomplish. Tinfoil hat was on, but this is what this could accomplish, guys, in theory, right? He could deal with, thank you, Casey. He could deal with the debt using APE units, keep them as APE units. The squeeze potentially takes place. After we have been paid, he then asks us to vote, as we still have votes with our APE units, to convert those APE units, including the APEs he may have issued to pay off the debt, a ton of the debt, to convert at that time after the squeeze into AMC common stock. At that point, we vote yes, and all of the stock you had before the squeeze, you would still have that many shares. Now, it would be diluted at that point, but you've had your squeeze. We got paid. He has his shareholder base, hopefully there to stay, and everybody wins. And like Casey said, if you don't want to follow what I'm saying here in the comment section, that's okay. Everybody can make up their own mind on that. But again, I want to echo the sentiment that the positives here appear very strong, and I would want people to just maybe take a deep breath and relax a little bit. We're in the same position.
Enjoy this ride. Enjoy it. Tony, I do see some questions in here that I want to touch on really quickly, and I think that it's something that you've already mentioned before. How do you feel about margin accounts?
How do I feel? So hang on one second.
Oh.
So, guys, the safest way is to be in a cash account and make sure that your share lending is off. Some brokers, even for cash accounts, have been introducing these share lending programs. I can't get it. So, and I brought this up on Twitter a couple weeks ago, and several people found out that they had share lending on in their Webull, which they did not do. So check with your broker, make sure that you are in a cash account and that you do not have share lending enabled, because that is one way they could sneak some of your AMC shares out of your account, and then you wouldn't get an APE for every AMC. Margin accounts, we talked about this, and several of my viewers on Friday while we were live called their brokers. And I would say to each of you, do the same thing to be safe. But their brokers told them if you have a margin account with no margin positions, no margin loans, that you would receive one APE for every AMC. I can't say that that is true. If you have any doubt, call your broker and then have them get something in writing, either a screenshot during a live chat that you can copy or shoot with your phone, or have, email them. Do your own homework and protect yourself. And then finally, if you have a margin account and you have a margin loan, for sure they can loan out some of your shares. Margin loan meaning you're buying other stocks on margin. They can definitely. I have a margin account because I do day trading on other stocks. I did not get all my votes for AMC during the proxy. I'm not margining AMC. I had other stocks on margin, and they were loaned out some of my AMC shares. So I'm gonna need to call my broker. I have no margin right now. I'm gonna do this on Monday and ask them the same question people were asking their brokers on Friday. Now that I have no margin in play, will I get all of my shares? So if you want to be safe, call your broker. Get it in writing.
And sometimes it helps to speak to somebody who's not just first level too. Make sure you talk to like a supervisor, and don't just get first level answers. A lot of times the people that you first call into a brokerage, somebody who's probably not paid very well, doesn't have all the right answers. And just because they say something to you that doesn't necessarily mean it's the correct answer. So maybe try to get a supervisor online or ask for it in writing.
I saw someone asking, what if I'm using the Cash app to buy my shares? I know nothing about using the Cash app to buy shares, so can't help you there. Contact them and ask them. All right, I've got some pinned questions that were coming in. Some of these we already went over, guys, so we might, we're not going to repeat a bunch of information, but some of these we can just touch on really quick. Can someone confirm the AMC price will be dropped by 50% on August 22nd? That, based on Adam Aron's, one of his recent tweets, he said logic states that AMC will drop by 50% and that 50% of value will be moved over to the APE. Some of you were asking, is it going to be a penny? Is it going to be $4? Logically, since eventually each APE could, in some point in the future, be converted back to an AMC, they should be at parity in value. They should have the same value. Whether or not they will hold that once they both start trading, I don't know. Seems like there'd be some arbitrage opportunities if they did not stay close in value. This is not something that's common, guys. No one's going to have the exact answers right now. But I think on day one, when market opens on Monday, yes, you could probably expect, Monday the 22nd, you can probably expect that whatever the price of AMC was on Friday the 19th when the market closed, half of that will be moved to the APE. Next question. I think same thing, right? That is the same question. Pantheon or KC, who wants to take this one?
I'll take it. I do know if I own real, or I think the question is, how do I know if I own real or synthetic shares? If if you're with a legitimate broker listed as being in a cash account or something like that, there is no difference between that or a synthetic share. You are owed a real share, and so therefore you should get the dividend like anybody. So there is no, I wouldn't really think of in terms of a real share or a synthetic share. Just think of it as the fact that no matter what, your broker owes you for whatever it is that you've paid for, and that you've paid for a share of AMC. So it doesn't matter. There is no difference.
Are they able to short the APE shares? Will it affect AMC share price? Pantheon, you want to knock that one? I'm going to look for the next one, and I'm trying to pin a few others.
Yeah, we can take a look at that. That was in the questions that or the comment video that we went through the slides, but I'll just kind of talk about that part. So can they short this? It's going to be traded on the New York Stock Exchange, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but my understanding is that they will be able to short that because it'll be listed on the NYSE. But there are differences when you short something preferred versus something that is a common stock. Want to correct me so far, or am I good to keep going?
As far as I know, I mean, I would assume it's a depository receipt. There were a lot of people saying because it was a preferred stock, you can't short it. I'm a little bit fuzzy since it's backed by a preferred share, but it's a depository receipt, just like NEO or BABA are depository receipts, ADRs, and you can certainly short those.
You can have embedded.
Do you want me to share that?
You can have embedded calls within a preferred issuance, which allows the company to recall it back in a certain amount of time. I don't know if that's what they've put into that in the prospectus. I haven't found that part yet. But there is much more risk to shorting preferred than there is to shorting common stock. And when you short preferreds, the company has the ability to recall them. No, preferred shares can be shorted, Jeff Nickel. That is not true. It actually, they can be, but the company can recall them. They don't have to rely on brokers to recall them.
Yeah, and that was one of the other questions that's been floating through. Is this going to is the APE thing going to create a share count or a share recall? I just want to talk on that really quickly. There's already been numerous share counts. We know that was on the second or third slide we covered today. Adam Aaron stated the share count numerous times, and he stated exactly how many APE units are going to go out. There's not going to be any share count. They know exactly how many shares they issued. Would there be a recall? Well, that is going to be up to the brokers who've loaned all these out and now got to figure out how they're going to pay two people for something that they're only going to get one of. So yes, there could be recalls. Lenders are the ones that do share recalls. Absolutely could be. We could see some share recalls from the lenders to clean up all the mess. And that is one of the most exciting things about this for me.
I'll just read this one little blurb here. This is page 19, and Tony, I just linked you the link for this. This is the S3, which is the prospectus for the AP for APE, and it says here, in addition, we are selling stockholders. In addition, we or the selling stockholders may enter into derivative or hedging transactions with third parties or sell securities not covered by the prospectus to third parties in privately negotiated transactions. It also talks about the ability to enter into agreements in here. This is page 19 of this document, guys. If you want to see whether or not that's going to be a possibility, it's all right here. It tells you. This entire link that I just sent to Tony will tell you that in this prospectus, everything that it is that you want to know about what's going on with this new security, APE.
Someone sounds like this one. Can they just do a digital book entry and put the share on the screen? How would we know if it's real? When you buy a share, you are a registered share. You own that stock. There's no such thing as a fake entry. Now, whether or not you bought a share that was borrowed from someone else, that is the whole exciting thing about this, right? But I know there's this whole narrative going around from one guy on YouTube that you guys are just buying shares and they're taking your money and writing it down in a notebook and not ever trying to go get that share. That is just, that's fairy tales. You might be buying borrowed shares though. This one we already covered. Ideas matter at the beginning of this, so you'll need to rewind. It's not going to start at a penny, and Adam Aaron said he expects it to open at 50% of the value of AMC.
You know, on that question that we just answered already, Tony, I'm just going to make a kind of a snarky comment. This whole thing I have found to be absolutely fascinating this weekend. It has really shown the people who are talking about AMC stock on social media how little they truly understand about the stock market. And anyone who's really paying attention to those influences out there, and I'm not looking to bash anybody, but it's really made it clear to me the people that don't understand about Class A common stock or preferred stock. And I'm not saying the viewers. There's lots of great questions in there from people, but the influencers you guys watch. Some of this stuff, and I hate to say it like this, I shouldn't even say it, but some of this stuff is so basic, and they put themselves out there as experts. And I would just use this as a caution for people to just be very careful who you're actually listening to and what they're saying. And I think this has really exposed some people who are claiming to be experts and basically don't understand the most simplistic parts of how this process works. I said it.
Someone is asking, how do we know what the price is going to be? No one knows for sure, guys, but here is the tweet from Adam Aaron. You can go look it up yourself. He said, logic says that initially AMC share should approximately trade for 50% and the APE unit 50%. So based on that and based on discussions we already had over the last 3 days before this tweet even came out, I was saying that that's what I expect. Now Adam Aaron just confirmed it. I wasn't sure. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, you weren't done. I'll say it after you're done.
No, initially I was not sure if it would start lower than half. I was having some discussions with you guys about what about the conversion, but now I've read more, and so my thoughts about a lower price out of the gate are no longer. 50% of the price of AMC seems the most logical price that the APE unit is going to come out at.
I was just going to add to what Pantheon would say, and I'm gonna throw out a general warning to the entire community, and it's not just content creators, it's everybody. When you find information that is what seems to be really bad information, bring it to the attention, but don't try to like turn it into something where you haven't investigated and you're just throwing it out there. Really try to find the root cause of where the information's coming from. Go to that source and try and verify the source first before going out and just posting something for the whole world to see, because then all it really does is just says, here's a problem. It's everybody's on fire. Oh, panic. And it's just like, no, maybe you should just hold on to that for a second, take a deep breath, maybe call up your broker, verify some things with the broker, take the extra steps to go the extra mile, and just get, double check everything before going out and telling the whole world that the dam is leaking.
And people get really mad. People get really mad when I tweet out, you guys, please stop listening to these people who are just putting out 20 random scare tactics a day. And they're like, why are you hating, bro? Why do you keep on calling these people out? Guys, I'm wasting hours a day helping people calm them down and answer these questions. And I should not have to do that if these people would just take a breath, go read the fucking document, and understand something before they make a video and scare everyone. Like, and I'm sure Pantheon and KC are dealing with the same thing. We're wasting hours of our day making people feel better that this was misinformation. That's why it upsets me. I if no one ever asked me to verify all what these two fools are saying, I would never tweet about them. But I got better things to do in my day than clear up the constant misinformation they put out.
Hey,
I got
Tony,
real DD to share with you guys.
for the question on the screen, I'd like to talk about that for a sec. Would that be all right?
Yep.
So in a Discord, we did some number crunching. And if you take the number of shares owned by institutions and assume for a second the 483 million remaining APE units, let's just play this game for a second. I don't like playing what ifs, but the question is, how do we know they won't sell those remaining 483 million APE units directly to shorts or brokers? Even if they did, and they added those to the institution ownership that's reported, and that was doubled because of the upcoming APE issuance, they don't even have 50%. So the point I'm trying to drive home to you guys is I'm not saying Adam Aaron should sell any of these remaining APEs to any of the funds that are shorting their stock. Absolutely not. It's not what I'm saying. If it did happen in the world of pretend, they wouldn't have enough votes to force them through into the AMC shares. And when a vote happens, the people who don't vote count as a no. So they won't even have the power at that point to convert. And another thing I'm seeing still in the comments is people continuously pushing, there's actually 5 billion. Okay, there's 50 million preferred shares. AMC has submitted to the SEC to convert 10 million of those preferred shares into 1 billion APE units. They still have 40 million. They still have 40 million preferred shares left that they have not issued. They have not asked to convert them yet. When you hear people in the press say Adam still has 4.5 billion, a total of 5 billion, they are extrapolating into the future to say when the day comes that you would want to convert the other 40 million preferred shares into the 4 billion apes, when you want to do that, you'll have another 4 billion. But today, that is not what they have submitted to the SEC. It's in the documentation. It's very clear. So the potential is there for 5 billion total APE units. They have not asked to make 5 billion APE units at this time.
Plus, the funny thing about that for me, these people saying 5 billion, as we went over in a previous slide a few minutes ago, at Friday's price, if he sold all 413 million, or 484 it is, if he sold all 484 million on the 23rd at AMC's current price of $22, so divide that by 2, $11, that is enough just about to pay off the entire debt. Why would he then go sell another 4 billion and dilute shareholders? I mean, he doesn't need $20 billion in the bank. That is just a ridiculous theory, in my opinion. All he wants to do is get the debt paid off. And the most logical time to do that would be in a squeeze run-up when the price is far higher than now. So he only has to sell the least amount of them possible.
Here's another way to think about it. Someone has 50 million bars of silver, okay? And you take 10 million bars of silver and you can convert those into, through melting, you can convert those into 1 billion bullets. Now, when someone says we're going to come after you, you could say, I've got the ability to get 5 billion of these ammunition. Maybe that's not the word I'm supposed to say on YouTube. You get where I'm going with this, right? He's still got 40 million bars of silver. He just hasn't converted them into that other thing yet, okay? But you can say, I've got another 4 billion of those. You just haven't smelted them yet. I'm trying to make it super easy to understand.
Should we be buying calls? Someone said. I'm going to definitely be talking about it in my live stream on Monday. I'm going to put up option strat and see what the implied volatility and payoffs for calls are over the next 3 weeks. Whether or not you should buy them, I don't know. Tune in Monday morning, and we'll see if they're a good deal or not.
Tony, I don't want to put you on the spot here, and I'm going to do it though.
Yeah.
But I was looking at implied volatility on Friday after the market had closed, and I just wanted to ask you, because I don't really pay attention to implied volatility a whole lot since I'm not a huge activist for call or put options or playing even in the derivatives in AMC, which is okay. It's okay that we have different opinions, but and I actually would probably be changing my opinion this week just because of what I think is happening. But let me ask you this though: implied volatility. Did you see any drastic difference in implied volatility on Friday than you've been seeing in the past?
When I looked on Friday, it did look like it was a little bit higher than normal. And typically, the way to think of implied volatility, when there's high demand, the implied volatility is going to go up. So if there's a lot of people thinking about buying call options, the cost, the premium that you're paying for them versus the baseline is going to be higher than normal, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I'm just saying that you might buy a $25 strike and think you're going to make a lot of money, and you might actually not, even if the stock goes to $26. It might need to go to 35, just as an example, because you're overpaying for the premium due to implied volatility.
I think, and I don't know if you're going to agree with this or not, but I think over the next 2 weeks, as we're getting closer and closer, I think institutions are really going to be buying a lot of call options and exercising them than they actually get to pick up the shares at a cheaper price if the price is going up. So I'm kind of thinking that might become a strategy by long institutions to start. I don't know. It was something that I started to see at the end of the day on Friday. You could see the volume rolling in pretty quickly, and so I assumed implied volatility was probably rising pretty quickly, considering how much volume came in at the end of the day. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm asking is I think going forward, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of institutional gamma support.
We talked about dilution earlier. Adam Aaron has tweeted about it numerous times, and never, if you consider this a stock split, which in essence it will act as a split because the number of shares are dividing. They're not issuing new shares. They're just dividing. They're adding new shares and splitting the price. That is my expectation. Your ownership in the company is not changing. So no, by Wall Street or any financial definition, this is not dilution. If they add additional shares of APE in the future, those other 484 million that Adam Aaron will have in his little piggy bank, that would be dilution. On the 22nd, that is not dilution. I know that's hard to understand for some people. I get it. But do a little more research and go read about our stock splits dilution.
Gregory Jones, go Chiefs. Yes.
Let's see. Bruda transferred AMC from another broker last year. Can one broker just send over an IOU, or would they have to actually buy real shares? Oh, man. I'm not in a transfer from one broker to another. My expectation, my understanding is that they are expecting real shares. Is there ever a time where a non-real or a loan share comes over? I don't know. Pantheon, have you looked into that at all? KC?
Is the question, are like they're transferring their shares from one broker to another?
If you were in E-Trade and then you opened a Fidelity and said, hey, E-Trade, send all my shares to Fidelity, could E-Trade just send over a borrowed, a loaned, or a fake share? I think is what he's worried about. I'm not worried about an IOU per se. They just said, oh yeah, we got you later. But could they send over a borrowed share? I think so. I don't know for sure. Anybody?
I wouldn't worry in regards to whether you're not or your shares are safe. I wouldn't worry about that too much. That's all backdoor deals that you're not going to have to worry about. Actually transferred over, and the other brokerage is stating that you have your shares, then they owe you for that.
So I saw someone in the chat said they tried to transfer 150 shares from Apex to Fidelity. Only 30 showed up, plus some cash. That's pretty scary. FJR. Was it enough cash to offset the other 120 shares? I mean, it's scary, but it also is indicative of what we think is happening, which is massive rehypothecation. Someone's asking a question about ETFs. What about ETFs that hold AMC?
Yeah, I saw that one earlier. I don't know.
What do you think?
So the ETF.com website actually updated which ETFs are holding the most amount of our shares, which is great because I had no idea who was going to be the big ones. Apparently, VTI is the biggest holder. We went from like, I think, hold on, I've got the numbers written down. We went from 40.4 million shares being held by 73 holders in ETFs. Now it's down to 22.7 million shares and 67 holders of ETFs. And what I would say is this: if an ETF is holding shares, they should get the dividend just like everybody else would. There should be no difference. So you should see almost immediately 67 ETF shares, and it would be in the amount of 22.7 million. So you should 45.4 million shares held in ETFs. At least that seems like that would be how it would work out to me. I can't imagine why they wouldn't get them.
I concur. Pantheon, we got a question for you if you're still here.
Yes, sir.
If someone sells APE shares, can shorts cover synthetics with it?
No.
I'm assuming he means synthetics
on the AMC Class A common stock.
I'm assuming that's what he means. I don't know if he meant.
If that's what he means, the answer is no. They're different. They are two different things, which is the beauty, as opposed to the GameStop split. That was all still GameStop shares. Casey, did you want to add something?
Well, I mean, not anything that's going to make anybody happy. I mean, there's swaps, right? Like there's always swaps and that could occur. But you know, I'm not gonna talk about that. I think opening up a whole can of worms, and we know there's a lot of shenanigans that are happening inside the market, and I don't really need to explain that. But I don't specifically believe. I mean, the answer that you gave, the blanket answer that you gave, was correct.
Grandpa Barney says Adam Aaron won't screw us over because if he did, we would all sell and the shorts would destroy AMC. Adam Aaron knows this. This is good for both sides. Just Grandpa's thoughts. Thank you, Grandpa Barney. We love you, brother. I just saw a good question pop by. Hang on one second. I blasted through all my starred lists, so I'm looking for new questions. If you guys have them. New Mega says I'm no pro, but it seems if we hold APE long enough, if we hold APE long, a fiasco begins. APE will squeeze simultaneously with AMC, hence the pounce. Yeah, I think that they will trade in parity, or maybe APE after the 22nd might be a little more sought after by some brokers trying to cover up their shenanigans. But we will see. New Mega. Oh, here we go. KC. Question from Christopher.
Christopher says, here's what I see happening. They will cut the price of my AMC shares in half and I won't get APE shares. If you don't get APE shares, you should be contacting your broker violently. No, I'm just kidding. You should be definitely contacting your broker. I don't see any reason why you share at any given point. I understand that fear, but I mean, we're gonna have to see what happens when we get there.
They can't just arbitrarily
know that
wipe
there's
out 50% of your value. I mean, if the price of AMC drops, you have to be compensated for that. You have to get APE shares. There's just no two ways about it. That is why they are so freaking scared. I think right now, if there really is rehypothecation and shorting to the extent that we think that there is, we're going to find that out in the next 2 weeks. They owe you those damn shares. And they don't want you, protesting in front of their building that you didn't get your shares or embarrassing them on social media.
When shares were rehypothecated, the brokers lent them to the shorting hedge funds or the shorting parties, right? When the dividend, the APE unit, needs to be paid to us, that is not the responsibility necessarily of the shorter. That is a responsibility of the broker. Okay. I know it's more complicated than that, but I'm just going to simplify it. So now the broker is no longer incentivized to help the short take all those rehypothecated shares. As we said earlier, the broker is now incentivized to recall shares and say, I don't have a problem. Because one of the things I think many of us have been saying is, and I've been saying this on my channel, it's not, they don't want to pay us, but it's not the amount of money they're going to pay us that scares them. It's the uncovering of proof of all of these things. And that then just has a trickle effect to all the other ticker symbols that are also being done in the same manner. The proof of exposing the synthetics would be disastrous on all fronts to these guys, on so many other stocks.
Tony, I forgot to write down the name of the individual who wrote this, but he said, from my understanding of ETFs, if a stock is not part of the ETF and issued as a dividend, it will immediately be sold on the market. This is the case with the Russell 1000. In this particular instance, like I can say for certainty that I know that when a stock is removed from an ETF, that it is sold back into the market, and we actually saw that happen not too long ago when we moved from the Russell 2000 to the 1000. However, with a dividend being issued and a brand new stock being created out of all this, I think this is something that I don't think we've ever seen this before. I know I haven't, and I don't see why it wouldn't be issued to the ETFs as well. Now, if it was issued to the ETF, and the ETF would sell it off because it's not already in there naturally, I mean, it's still AMC. It's still AMC shares, so I don't understand why it wouldn't there. But I mean, we'll see. This is definitely setting a precedent for something that we've never seen before. Out.
Sorry, my mic was off. What are the chances all retail owned shares are not real? This, you weren't just answering this, were you, Casey?
No.
I mean, we're counting, right? This is what we're counting on, that all retail owned shares are not real. This is what we're about to find out, guys. If this was a genius move, 3D, 4D chess on Adam Aaron's part, you're going to know here in the next couple of weeks. What will the brokers do if they don't receive the APE shares to cover us? They're screwed. This was gone over in some of the previous slides. So if you're joining in late, make sure and watch this on replay. Chris asking, I don't understand how this helps us in the near future. Again, you're going to need to watch the replay. We went through a slide deck and went over this in detail, how it's going to help us. Rehypothecated shares need to be cleaned up, or they need to figure out some other way to get all of these people. If there's multiple floats sold out there, That's going to be on the brokers to explain it to you. And they do not want to do that, or they're going to have to figure out some sneaky way to get out of it. What I saw on Friday's price action was, in my mind, and we'll know for sure more, tomorrow, next week. What I saw, and Casey shared with me later that he felt the same way, was some realization by some people on Wall Street that they better start cleaning this shit up while it's still cheap. So I expect that to continue. Will it? Stay tuned tomorrow. Jason's asking, could brokers delay delivery of APE shares to cause margin calls when AMC cuts in half? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I understand the question. You should have your shares on Monday morning. Could there be a delay before you could trade them because of clearing or something? I don't know. This is not a common scenario that many of us have been through.
And I think one of the things that I want to say thank you to both Tony and Pantheon for is that almost immediately both of you guys were like, hey, we're not going to we're going to take some time to look this over before we just jump out here and start making comments. And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So I really appreciated the fact that you guys gave me some extra time to do some of the reading, just because I do take a little extra long to go through it. I think not jumping the gun and giving ourselves some time to kind of look over all the documentation and kind of understanding what's actually happening instead of just jumping to conclusions and saying the first thing that came to our head. It was a smart thing to do.
My initial reaction, when Adam announced this on Thursday afternoon, was a little bit mixed. But the more I've read about it, and I have spent a lot of hours between Thursday afternoon and today reading and rereading these documents and chatting with you guys. Some of our conference calls with large groups of researchers and people like you guys that were asking questions to help us get prepared were hours long calls. So thank you to everybody. And in the time that I've had, I've also been looking at comments on other videos and listening in on space calls to try and anticipate as much as you guys were going to ask and get it covered tonight. But ultimately, like I was saying, this is not something common. People are going to get some of it wrong. Let's not get wrong the part that is documented, whether it's in a SEC filing or an Adam Aaron tweet. So much of the anxiousness and the anger that people have is because of misinformation. That is what is most upsetting to me. What happens to call options after the dividend? We already went over that in a previous slide and a discussion. So we're not 100% sure, but rewind till you find the options slide. Let's see. Pantheon, you got anything you want to say while I'm looking for the next questions here?
I want to echo both of your sentiments. The three of us and others got together in the community and had an initial conversation. Tony did an excellent job, put a slide deck that you saw tonight, making notes of all the things we talked about. Then we revisited the conversation yesterday and went over those points again. I think that is the best way to approach something as complex as this. And I want to say to Tony, thank you very much for composing the notes of the conversation that we all joined in, along with many others. And I want to thank you for the idea of putting us on tonight to go through this for the community. And I want to thank both of you gentlemen for the work that we do together in trying to get to the facts. I love it. I think it's the best way to approach this. And reacting too quickly to so many different documents and pages of information. I just had my very first weekend with my Twitter account, and well, I've had an experience and a half. So
Welcome to Twitter. That's why I don't spend much time on it. Good Lord.
Rock strong.
It's
Rock
good
strong.
for DMs. Other than that, you want to bang your head through a wall. I don't know. We haven't talked about FTDs too much. I just started hearing this come up, so I know it's going around probably on some channels or on Reddit. My initial thought on FTDs, and I shared this already with KC and Pantheon, but this is just my opinion. I'm not saying this is right. Maybe we will see some number in September about failures to deliver of APEs. Maybe we will. But if we do, it will be, I think, because of transactions that are happening starting August 22nd, right? FTD by definition typically is you got someone buying a stock and someone bringing cash, and one of them doesn't show up with the goods. And then you get that can be on a long or a short. Someone doesn't show up, and that after the T+2, that gets logged as a failure to deliver, and then there's a process for that. I don't know of any failure to deliver process for a stock distribution / dividend type thing like this. So I know there's people counting on Adam Aaron is expecting billions of FTDs to show up on September 15th when we get the first FTD report. I would be personally very surprised if that happens. You're going to hear about individual retail investors long before that, if there were billions of shares, of APE that don't show up in accounts. So, I don't know how much time I'm going to spend chasing down the FTD theory. You guys can chime in if you want. We haven't really talked about this, but it's making the rounds today.
I mean, by technical definition, I don't think it's called an FTD. If somebody weren't, sorry, I was reading somebody's comment there about the big tramp. If somebody were to not deliver shares as they're supposed to their shareholders, it would be called something else. But I'm not sure what it would be called, and I don't know how long they would have to complete the transaction. Tony, are we still hearing about people in Germany who still haven't received their shares from GME?
My subscribers in Germany who got the message that things were going to be backed out, fixed, and then put back because they had coded it wrong, all confirmed that it is straightened out now.
So, I mean, I guess we have some case evidence of it possibly taking a little bit longer. Perhaps for some people, maybe where they're located, or I don't know. But
there's still a raging debate in the GameStop community if the DTCC coded the stock split correctly. We're not going to get into that tonight. That's a discussion for the GameStop experts. I'm not, I'm aware of the situation. That would take me an hour to become, a day to become an expert on lots of researching and digging. I don't plan to do that because although I own a GameStop, it's not my biggest investment. I'll let the people that cover GameStop relentlessly dig into that one.
Jeff says it looks like I've been at Jeff. I cannot wait for us to hit $90. This beard is coming off as soon as it, or at least most of it, if not all of it, as soon as that happens. I can't wait. I'm really hoping that's going to be soon.
Edward says, how is it not dilution if half your investment is slashed in half into APE? Then APE gets diluted. Again, guys, you got to go back and watch the slides where we covered this stuff. On the distribution date, August 22nd, it is not dilution. You have not received any reduced percentage of ownership in the company. If there is additional shares issued in the future, it would be dilution. If you're just joining in, please start back from the beginning or go back and rewatch it. We tried to cover a lot of these basic questions early.
Ahmed Sabri says, any chance the market maker can issue synthetic APEs? And I'm going to say this. I have a feeling. I don't know this to be the truth. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. put it back on again. It's starting to get a little bit of a hole. It's got so much wear and tear in the top up here. But I'm going to say this. I think that I think there's a chance that there's probably some perhaps the SEC might be monitoring this particular situation very, very closely, and seeing how this is dealt with. I don't know. I'm not saying that there's definitively going to be something that happens, but I have a funny feeling somebody's watching. So we'll see.
Johnny, rewind, please, and go back and find the slide that says options on it. And we did talk about options already.
When this is all over, I'm going to have to auction off my tinfoil hat for free for just to do some kind of like thing to see who wants to win the tinfoil hat just for nothing. Answer like a trivia question. Answer a trivia question for it.
That would be fun.
Sign it and just give it to them for free if they get the question right.
Let's see what we got here. Benjamin says, Tony, KC, or Pantheon, if everyone keeps their APE units after MOAS, would it be an identifier of synthetics? I mean, there's 516 million of them. So I don't know. I mean, I guess a lot of that's going to depend if the APE unit can be shorted. The ones that are going to be out there initially were issued by Adam Aaron, if I'm understanding your question correctly. The evidence of synthetics will be millions of you don't get APE units. That is the evidence of synthetics. Or the price runs up starting Monday, starting Friday, yesterday, 2 days ago. That is also, to me, evidence of synthetics. If the price starts running, guys, it's running for a reason, and it's not because all of you are piling in at $22 when you could have bought it for $9 to $15 for the last 3 months. You didn't all just wake up and decide to crush AMC up on Friday. Stonks and Gain says this live stream was very close to financial advice. Yeah, we're just three idiots who read documents. Everything that has been covered here, if you go back and watch the slide deck, there's references to all of the documents. If there's something that was speculation, we laid out that it was speculation. Crystal, what's going on? Crystal says the strength of us apes have to stay strong. Is it a split or a dividend? Vehicle Obsessions is asking. Already covered. Please rewind back to the. Oh wait, is it a split or a dividend? I think we did talk about that, but I don't have a specific slide on it. It is not a dividend. Early on, Pantheon was covering the slide where he explained how preferred shares are going to be used then to create depository receipts, which are then going to the new NYSE under the ticker symbol APE. So it's not technically a dividend. AMC cannot issue a dividend just yet. I know they're calling it in some circles a dividend, but technically not a dividend. Stock split might be a more accurate explanation. Any other thoughts on that, Pantheon?
Yeah, it's a stock split or a preferred issuance would be the right term. I'm sure Adam didn't use that term because I think a lot of people would say, what the hell is that? But I think using the term dividend, people understand. And I think a lot of people have been asking Adam for a dividend. So it makes it easy for him to say, here's your dividend. But it doesn't really matter. We're talking kind of semantics at this point, but it is a preferred issuance because they're not allowed to issue dividend or buy back stock until June 30th, 2023, based on the restrictions within the senior secured revolving credit facility. But preferred charges have nothing to do with that. That's how he gets around it.
Your mic's off again.
Sorry, someone's asking where's the Massalorian. He's moving, guys, to his new studio, and I talked to him a couple days ago. When I talked to him, he didn't have internet access at his new place yet. So I expect we'll get him back on here very soon, but I know he's been very busy with the whole move thing and not having time to dig into all these documents. Otherwise, absolutely would have been here.
Let me. Would you please tell him that the back of the Big Tramp has free Wi-Fi?
I will let him know. Can you take the Big Tramp up to Rhode Island?
Ooh, that sounds sexy.
Road trip. Show us your mug, Pantheon. When are we going to see Pantheon's face? Do we have a date? No comment.
Well, it seems like the more we go further into this, the more that people are telling me they don't want to. They want me to keep it a surprise.
Really?
So, I don't know. Yeah, it's a mystery.
Just in case anyone's wondering,
especially for
I have seen Pantheon's face after the live streams. He is not Ken Griffin.
You guys know who Art Bell is and George Norrie?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like a long time ago, I was a big George Norrie fan, and all I ever heard was just his voice, but I just loved listening to him. And I feel very similarly about Pantheon. And the very first time that I saw George Norrie, it was kind of like one of those moments where it's like it felt like a letdown. It was just kind of like, oh, I pictured him different.
Pearl Elite
yeah.
says he doesn't want to hear from us anymore. Well, it's optional to turn on the play button, friend. Do you guys play chess? We're getting some random questions now. I know KC plays chess.
Yeah, lose live in front of everybody. Slaughtered, more like it.
Keith, do you guys see this as an overstock event? They did the same thing and it did squeeze. One of y'all was talking about that, KC or Pantheon.
I had mentioned something about it because I know it was something that somebody had talked about before. I don't see this quite the same because I feel like I know where that's going, and the assumption there is that potentially there could be some kind of litigation. What I would say is this: if there is going to be some type of litigation that would occur, with the best thing out of this that I can think of is the fact that the litigation would be probably, well, tinfoil hatting here, but it would probably be over the APE issuance of shares that were either not received or whatever may have occurred, maybe an over issuance or whatever it may happen, and the litigation would be there and not necessarily tied to AMC. In which case, that this is kind of like one of the things where people who are pro litigation. It kind of gives you that opportunity to have what it is you want, and not necessarily tie it to AMC.
This interaction with ComputerShare, is it direct registration or just another service they provide? The documents are in the video description on my channel. You guys can pull those up, the 8K and the various documents that go over this transaction. You can go in those, Control F, and look for ComputerShare if you want to read it for yourself. But they are going to be the trustee of the 10 million preferred shares, which AMC is going to then further divide into the depository receipts called APE that will trade on the NYSE. So I know that sounds confusing, but they're just a trustee holding some shares, which is required on any depository receipt, whether it's a Brazilian depository receipt, an American depository receipt. Very common way for depository receipts to be. That's just that's how it's done. Is the DTCC issuing the shares to brokers? What's going on with that? I don't remember, Pantheon and KC, if we talked about the whole process. I talked about it with someone. My understanding, when something like this is transacted, and I tried to get ComputerShare to answer it on GameStop, and they flat out refused because everyone was convinced ComputerShare was going to get all the shares and then carefully take care of all their direct registration people, and then the brokers would have to come begging for the scraps. That was the theory, right, for GameStop. And it seems pretty much everybody got their shares. So my understanding of the way that process works is that the company is going to issue the preferred shares to ComputerShare, create the depository receipts, and then someone, whether it's ComputerShare or AMC, I don't really care, will send them over to the DTCC or the DTC. Again, I don't care. And for further distribution to the brokers, for further distribution to the account holders, the beneficiary holders, us, in other words. So
yeah, part of the thing with the computer shares is that, you know, they're basically doing this legally by showing that the shares were in existence and documenting that they were in existence, and then they transfer them over to the DTC for distribution. So the idea that, you know, somebody would have first rights to shares or something like that, I don't. It should be no different. There's no first rights to anybody. It's just a distribution by the DTC to. It's not a distribution by computer.
Debbie, when I buy APE, will those shares also be added to my AMC? If you go after the 22nd and buy the APE ticker on NYSE, that is all you are buying. It'll be a separate stock. On the 22nd, you'll get one for every AMC that you owned on the 19th. But after that, if you want to go buy APE, you can do that. And that will not affect the other shares of AMC that you have. Do I got that right, guys?
What was that? I'm sorry. No. I was reading something over on the side of the chat over here, and I
Once
was
you
kind of
buy,
spaced out.
once we get into trading of APE on the 22nd, if you go buy the ticker APE, if you buy 100 shares, that is not affecting your AMC. That's just now you have 1,000 AMC and 1,100 APE. Trying to look for new questions. What if the DTC pulls a fast one and gives us an IOU of APE? Oh boy.
Look at the ape in the back. Somebody mentioned the ape in the back there. It's such a cool shirt, and they didn't have any of my size, so I just hung it over the exercise bike because I don't use it. So, but I would like to give away that shirt one of these days. I'd love to give that away to somebody just for the heck of it, because I think it'd be so much more cool on somebody. It says, what does it say? It says something about mighty apes.
Peter says, if brokers can't fulfill APE one-for-one requirement, then what? Exposed synthetics are uncovered, but what next? Raise holy hell is what I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to let it get to that point, honestly.
Hey, Tony, I think I've got to cut out of here. I've got an early morning, so I think I'm gonna have to bail on you here. I'm gonna be the first one to say good night. In fact, yeah, if anybody has any further questions, though, Tony's got you in good hands. So Pantheon, do you plan on doing any more live streams in the near future?
Not sure. We're still always kind of looking at whether there's something to talk about, you know, and I went from doing a show at a scheduled time slot, and I've turned that into when there's something to talk about, we'll go on and do it. And this is, you know, between the Diane Garrett interview that took up my entire week getting that prepped, leading up to the information we've now received. this is what I've been busy on here. So happy to be here with you gentlemen tonight. And let's see, Kim thinks I fell asleep. No, these gentlemen were talking and I was sitting back eagerly soaking it all up. So,
Scott saying again, someone told him it was preferred TD Ameritrade. There's a lot of things, a lot of bad information you can get by calling your broker and talking to the first line person. Read the paperwork. Go back and look at this slide that we covered earlier. The Form 8A 12B is linked in my video description. You can go read it yourself. APE will be a depositary receipt backed by preferred shares. I don't expect TD Ameritrade first line phone reps to have read Form 8A12 or all of the forms on any company that they're answering phone calls about. But this is all bullet points straight from the document.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is you guys are in good hands with Tony and Pantheon. These guys are good guys. But it's getting late for me since I got to be up early in the morning. I know a lot of you guys are going to be waking up at 4 a.m. You may not have to wait that long. For those of you who want to see what the price is going to be looking like potentially moving into the future, you might be able to find that on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. I will leave Tony this link as well in case he wants to share it. And you could potentially, I can't remember what time they open up exactly, but it would be earlier. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like it's earlier, but I can't remember off the top of my head exactly. I know that sometimes when I want to see what the price is going to be for the next day or if it's going to be moving quickly or not, or have much change, I go there first. But anyways, you guys have a great night, and I will see you guys later. Tony, again, thank you so much for putting this presentation together and allowing us to be a part of this. And Pantheon, it's always wonderful to work side by side with you and Tony. And I will see you guys around.
Thank you, Casey. Appreciate your time and all your work over the past 3 days looking into this with us and the discussions.
Thank you. Rock strong.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. See you guys later.
Go have a little drinky drink on me.
Oh, nice. Yes. Okay.
All right. I put Casey's link in the chat there. Hopefully you guys can. P-Dog is asking a question I've heard people talk about on other space calls. If the price of the common stock drops below $10, would the hedge funds have different requirements? Pantheon, I know you like to talk about this one, the haircuts.
If the stock price of the AMC common stock drops below $10, there's a 25% DTC haircut that would come into effect, which would mean the ability to use that as collateral would be reduced by 25%. So remember when we dropped down below $10 to about 980-ish, something like that, and it went right back over $10? That's an example of why they did not want it to go under $10. That's something that they didn't want to lose, that ability for collateral to instantly just be wiped out. So that's another reason why it makes sense for them to keep AMC above $10.
Eric is asking, he's saying I didn't quite answer the question on options. The first thing, or maybe the last thing I said is I don't know exactly how it's going to work out. So there's multiple different ways that the options chain on AMC could be handled. Maybe we could call a broker on Monday and ask them if that has been coded yet. But ultimately, the market makers are going to decide. And I don't know yet 100% for sure if APE is going to have an options chain on it. But if it does on day one, then I would think the most logical thing would be take half the value of any options on AMC and cut the price and the strikes in half and give you an equal amount of options on APE. But I don't know if there's options chain on APE yet. I know there's a lot of debate about it. I'm just saying there's some things I just don't know yet. We will be digging into that. And of course, as we get more info, we will share that. I know there's a lot of theories. I haven't seen any hard evidence of anything yet, but I'm on it. Someone's saying there are screenshots of Robinhood saying you can sell APE on Robinhood but can't buy it. That's interesting. Where are you guys seeing that? Is the date of record the 15th? Yes, but please go read the press release from Adam Aaron that was covered in one of our first slides. The ex-dividend date is the 22nd, and it explicitly says in the press release, if you buy AMC before the 22nd, which would be by end of business on the 19th, Friday, you are entitled to the APE dividend. Now, if you don't trust that, I get it. You do what you want. A lot of people didn't trust it on GME, which was similarly structured. And just to make all of them feel better, I bought GME the day before the split, and I bought some more. And I did still get the split. So it goes by the ex-dividend date. As long as you buy, I'll buy some on Friday if it makes you guys feel better. Friday the 19th. The things I do for science to make you guys feel better, but you do what you want. That's not financial advice. If you're not sure, then just stop buying.
Gotta love science.
Yeah, I mean, look, some of these situations none of us have been in before, but I do know ex-dividend date is really what matters. So I'm willing to put some more money down just to have another video topic. Andrew's saying, I spoke with a manager from Robinhood last night. You can sell or transfer APE, can't buy because they are considering it a preferred stock. I think that will change. Just like they were busy updating messages over the weekend about the penny each. We'll stay on it. Now that you guys are bringing it up, we'll stay on it.
Like stink on a monkey.
Like stink on a monkey or steak on a monkey?
Stink. It's a Seinfeld reference.
Okay. As you're winding down, Numega says, I think I would like to say thanks for the Meg play, MEGL. And thank you, Teddy Zane, also. Numega, you are welcome. I'm still holding Meagle, MEGL, so we'll see what happens on Monday. I'm up about 3,000% in 24 hours, so congrats to yourself, Numega, and everybody who jumped on.
Sorry,
yeah,
Tony.
as soon as that was interesting, you said?
It was interesting to watch your stream on that. I was watching it with quite eagerly anticipating what was going to happen, and I thought that was a very fun stream.
Thank you. Yeah, as soon as we get the next one of those IPO targeted plays, I will let you guys know. Those are not short squeezes. That is just retail piling into a IPO with a very tiny float. Not the same as AMC or GameStop. And certainly no guarantees. But we had a good day on Friday for sure. $4 stock runs up to $300 in a couple hours. Broke Ape says, thank you guys for all you do. Made me a successful trader since I started in March 2021. I appreciate the community and I appreciate all real content creators. Most of all, I appreciate Ape Nation. And we appreciate you, Broke Ape.
Hey, Tony, this is not on the topic of the APE units, but it's related on the NFT. Can I jump on that for a second?
Absolutely. The floor is yours, my friend.
So Adam Aaron also tweeted on August 4th that we're going in that barrage of tweets he did. It was tweet number 7, that they're going to be issuing a free I Own APE NFT, similar to the I Own AMC, but instead of AMC, it says APE. They're going to be issuing that for members of Investor Connect by August 30th. So if you haven't signed up for Investor Connect, make sure you do. If you've already done it, I know people who signed up for Investor Connect, they received the email instructions for their first I Own AMC NFT, and they never redeemed it. And it was only a certain amount of time. I think it was March 15th, I think was something like the cutoff to redeem your free NFT. The benefit of that I Own AMC NFT is that subsequent NFTs, at least the black Highcroft one, was automatically granted to the holders, not the original person granted it, but the person holding the I Own AMC NFT. Now, if you missed the boat on that, not only are they going to give us an I Own APE NFT for members of AMC Investor Connect by August 31st, they will also issue a free second version of the I Own AMC NFT as well. So you got a chance to get that back if you don't have it. So sign up for Investor Connect. If you're international, if you're not in the US, go to the Investor Connect website. At the very, very bottom, you'll see an entry that says put in your email address. Just enter your email address there if you're from anywhere outside the USA. That will automatically register your email, and you will receive, just like you're a member of Investor Connect, because it's only open to US citizens or members within the US. So that's how you can get it internationally, and it'll get a free Wax wallet with all fees paid for a year. And these NFTs are kind of neat. So I'm collecting them, and it's something nice to have. And I think when we look back on this experience, I think you'll enjoy taking a look at those down the road.
Jenna says, will we all receive APE through DRS? Computer Share is going to be the trustee, Jenna, for the preferred shares. And then they or AMC, someone's going to transmit the depositary receipts over to the DTC.
Yeah, the
and then for
confusion
further distribution.
Sorry, Tony.
Go ahead.
The confusion on that was there were some tweets this weekend that AMC logged the float in DRS. That's not what happened, and Tony's described that. Computer Share is where you direct register your shares, but also they do other things, and they are the transfer agent for AMC, as Tony has already explained. So think of it like you've got a big pot of soup. The soup's got to start somewhere. It'll start in the pot. Yeah, I make lots of examples. People can make fun of me for it. But you start with this big pot, right? And the brokers are the smaller bowls. And you got to put the soup into each of the smaller bowls, but it's got to start somewhere. That's just where it starts. Those APE units are not direct registered. They just start with Computer Share as the transfer agent for AMC. That does not mean that they are direct registered, right? They can't force you to accept a direct registered thing. You can look to direct register them after you receive them, and you can look to direct register your Class A common stock if that's your decision. But just wanted to clarify that, because when the tweet came out that said they've DRS the float, that is a misunderstanding.
We know some people are really excited about Computer Share and DRSing, and there's nothing wrong with DRSing your shares if you choose to. But yeah, they're just the trustee of the preferred stock in this case. Can we all DRS our APE? I imagine you probably can, Edward. What do you think, Pantheon? I don't see why you couldn't.
I haven't seen whether we can or can't, but I wouldn't see any reason why we couldn't. I'm with you.
Doge Cult says, you look worn. Buzzing good on Friday. You looked beat down. Yeah, I slept today till 11 a.m. I was up for an hour, and then I went back to sleep till 3 p.m. That's how tired I was today from the last week. I was literally working 20 hours a day for the last 7 days. So I'm good now. Ready for tomorrow morning, early doors. We'll be up watching pre-market on AMC and MEGL first thing tomorrow morning. I'll be in the Discord and looking for what else is popping.
On that note, Tony, Tristan is asking, how does he get into your Discord?
Oh, I started jokingly saying I'm not going to tell anybody. You just got to figure it out. Because if I mention Discord, people say, "Oh, you're just selling Discord." But yeah, I mean, I don't talk about it. But since he asked, two things you can do. It's a free benefit for anyone supporting the channel. So join button on YouTube or Patreon, either one will work. $0.16 a day. What about ILAG? ILAG was looking good on Friday. Ticker symbol ILAG. That'll be one we'll be talking about. Mark says he doesn't talk about his OnlyFans anymore either. Yep. That one you've really got to scout for. La verdad no importa si sube o baja, lo más importante va a ser cuando den a todos su APE. Y en septiembre llega a pasar fase 6 para ayudar a poner presión a que cubran los shorts. How'd I do, Javier? He says it's not important if it goes up or down. The most important thing is when cuando den. What is den? Is that from Dara? When they give you your APE in September, comes phase 6 to help. Someone help me out on that last part. I forget what poner presión, to put pressure on them to cover the shorts. I think that was pretty close. Pantheon, how's your Spanish?
I'm a little more on the en français side. See this time.
Okay.
Canadian, we get a embarrassing little bit of French, yes.
Someone asked Pantheon a question in French.
Oh, God. Maybe.
Help put pressure, Diego. Thank you. Help put pressure. All right. It's almost 11. We've been going for 2.5 hours, so we're going to wrap this up. Anyone have final questions for Pantheon? Or for Tony DeNaro? DevStat says din is give. Yeah, it's a conjugation from the verb dar, right?
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi, Pantheon? Whitmore.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Tony Espanol was magnifico. Thank you, Jason. My Spanish teacher would be proud. Pantheon, make a video on, wait, let me put this on the screen. Make a video on how to transfer all those NFTs we receive from watching AMC movies. There you go, Pantheon.
I could do that. See, I made a mistake. When you're international and you sign up on the Investor Connect website at the bottom for that NFT, you just enter your email. It doesn't give you any kind of prompt or response or even a confirmation email that we've received it. So you just kind of have to sit there and go, all right, I hope it went through. Now, what happened was before they issued the deadline of the first I own AMC NFT, I went back to it and I thought, did I log in or not? I don't remember. So I put in my email address a second time, but it turns out I had a second email address that I used my other one. So my personal one and my AMC one. And I ended up getting two. So I had to transfer from one wallet to the other, which wasn't that bad. So I guess I could do something like that to show how to transfer. I'm going to transfer them again to a friend, at least one of the two, and spread the wealth. So maybe I'll make a video on that one.
Someone asked to check the German markets. I'm looking at the link Pantheon sent, and there's no price update. It says 8/5, August 5th. So we still got August 5th's price from the German market. Pantheon, are you going to be on with Boss tomorrow? Someone wants to know.
I have no idea if Boss is streaming tomorrow. Honestly, I find out when he's on and I get the alert that says Boss is now streaming, and that's my, oh yeah, look at, and I just pop in to say hi. So it's not really that organized. It's fun.
Richard says, can you sum up the info on the APE preferred stock to AMC stock? Wow. You have to give a more specific question, Richard. Or what? Just watch this on replay. The first 30 minutes or so, we go through all the details. German market starts at 3 a.m. Eastern now, so we got a ways to go. Am I going to be on tomorrow? That is the plan, Dogecoin, especially if Meagle or AMC are acting spicy, or if we find something else of interest to talk about. Tristan says, connected Discord to YouTube and figured it out. Welcome, Tristan. Appreciate you. Chrismo says, Je m'appelle Chris. What is the other stock I just mentioned? MEGL. It was an IPO on Friday. Came out at $4. A lot of us bought it in pre-IPO for $4. It ran up to $300 on Friday. And And Monday might be an interesting day to watch for that one. The other ones we were watching last week, similar, was MAIA, and I forget the other one, MGAM, I think. Also, both had pre-IPO low float spikes. Any advice on buying Meagle tomorrow? Get it in pre-market, Gus, because it's going to halt. It's going to halt a lot. That's what I'm going to be looking at, pre-market. Why are the Fudsters disliking this stream? Keygen says, well, there's a lot of haters of AMC, Ken, and there's a lot of haters of facts. So,
and it's always darkest before the dawn, folks. I think a lot of us have been saying, expect the, the amount of FUD, the amount of negative feedback, and the overwhelming sentiment of people saying, sell, get out of it. Expect that to just reach all-time highs as we get closer and closer to the actual moment that we're going to have this beautiful stock do what it needs to do. And we'll see light. Light's coming.
Domerick says, is there a trial for the Discord? I mean, it's on a month to month, Domerick. It's $5 for 1 month. Come in the stream on Monday and ask anybody with a badge next to their name if it's worth it. I've seen these guys make $300, $400, $500 in a day from information in the Discord, and that would pay for it for 10 years. Just one good idea. I'm not gonna try and sell it. You ask the folks who have the badge by their name. Joe says, hey, Tony, do you think keeping some cash on brokerage account, will they charge maintenance fee for stock splits? Will they charge a maintenance fee? I don't know. None of the brokers I have charge fees for stock splits, but are there some that do? Does that ring a bell with you, Pantheon?
I haven't come across that. I do my trading in Canada. I haven't come across that yet.
Someone is asking, what is the other ticker that I'm going to be watching tomorrow? Shit, what was that other one? Who was bringing up that?
I hope it wasn't GFYM.
ILAG, ILAG was another one that was a low float runner. That was not actually on my radar list, so I missed it on Friday, but it's worth checking in pre-market on Monday. ILAG. TBLT is the parent company of HKM, the one that, or is it HKD? The one that ran up to $2,000 last week.
Oh, yeah.
I played a little bit of TBLT, but I don't know how it's going to run next week. We will see. Keep an eye on TBLT also. And then all of your monkey stocks, as I call them. Yes, we'll be watching all those. I'm in a couple of those. Swing trade in a couple.
Anthony has Anthony Lanoy 83 just making a comment. Currently, there are 90 million confirmed shares sold short, plus the 516 million. I would only tweak that to say there are currently 90 million self-reported shares sold short versus confirmed, is how I would say it. But we're on the same page, Anthony.
Yeah, those Ortex data is reported by the lenders, and then they also report to the SEC twice a month. So I don't know what kind of auditing goes on, but I think that personally, a lot of people hate me when I say this. I think the short interest is pretty close to being accurate. I'm more interested about the broad implications of kicking FTDs down the road through borrowing and, resetting them so you don't see the real number, and also rehypothecation, the loaning of shares over and over, reselling us the float, because you won't pick that up necessarily on short interest. So we will see. We'll see how bad it is this week. If how bad it is for the brokers. If you see the price running up, that's your first tip off that we've been onto something. Zephwin says, am I putting out a video on APE or is this it? I mean, I might run through the slides one more time for someone that doesn't want to listen to a 3-hour stream. And for sure, if updated information comes into us, like if I can answer the options question or the thing that people were asking about failures to deliver, I will definitely be doing some other videos. Yes. All right, Pantheon, thank you, my friend, for your time as always. Are you going to go straight into Pantheon Radio tonight?
No Pantheon Radio tonight. I've actually got, it's 9 o'clock, just after 9 o'clock Pacific. So I've got plans with Mrs. Pantheon tonight. But I want to say, Tony, again, thank you for pulling all the information together. Thanks for going through with Casey and I, multiple other people a few times. Just Another Ape was another great person that Super Steven helped us out. And I just want to say, this is great how you set this up, Tony, and got us all together to help share truthful and factual information with everybody. And, you're doing great work. So thank you. Thank you for being my friend, Tony.
Thank you. I appreciate you and your time and your the fact that, fact-based information matters to you. And I know you put in the work as well. So hopefully, hopefully we see that we're all winners in the next couple of weeks.
And soon they won't have to look at that icon, the 2090 igloo that somebody talked about earlier, and they'll see that beautiful face of Mastalorian back on there soon enough.
It is a beautiful face. You guys are going to be impressed.
Thank you,
all
Tony.
Right, guys, we're going to call it a night, and I've got to get up early. Pantheon, you can have the final goodbye.
Rock strong.
Take us home, Pantheon.
Rock strong, everybody.
Cheers, guys. Thank you for all watching. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for the super chat supports of the channel. Much appreciated. And we will see